In the workshop, a Warco lathe. This is part 5, mounting the Warco lathe on foam kneeling pads in exactly the same way as I did with my Myford ML7R. This method works perfectly and the lathe does not require any levelling whatsoever, and it runs very quietly. Rearranging my workshop to accommodate the new lathe. A quick word about these kneeling pads. They are about £10 each and well worth every penny. If you're looking to buy some kneeling pads, make sure you don't get the ones with the wobbly edges. It looks better if the sides are fully parallel. So what are they? Well, they're designed for use in the garden for kneeling on while you pull the weeds out of the ground. I also use these underneath my studio monitors as sound absorbing panels. They work very well. If you buy the proper sound absorbing panels, which are more or less the same, they are far more expensive. These two pads have slight marks on a couple of the edges, but they will be at the back, so everything's fine. To anyone thinking already about writing in to tell me that this won't work and that I will need to level the lathe and it won't be accurate, that is complete nonsense. I proved that when I mounted the ML7R in exactly the same way as this in the main workshop. First of all, I need to measure the chip tray, and it measures just under 28 inches. So it was just a case of going up to my workshop using my bandsaw to cut the parts to size. Each of these main panels now measures 14 inches. The offcuts are very useful indeed for this job. As you can see, I've propped the lathe up on one of these offcuts to allow me to get my hand underneath to start the bolting of the lathe bed to the chip tray. The chip tray is attached to the lathe, or the lathe is attached to the chip tray using two M8 type Allen head bolts. You don't have to use the Allen head type. I just had some laying about, but the Allen head is quite useful because it will easily sink into the foam and anchor the lathe in the correct position on top of the foam pads. Here's how I did it: an Allen key underneath and a Barco spanner on the top, and I just rotated the Allen key until the bolt was tight. For the next part of the job, I need to insert the other offcut underneath the chip tray at the other end. First of all, I lifted the tailstock end of the bed, moved the foam block into the middle, and then put another foam block underneath the headstock end. All that needs to be done now is to bolt the headstock end down to the chip tray. And so I could get my hand underneath, I lifted the heavy end, where the headstock is, so I could remove the piece of foam from the centre. Now there's just about enough room to get the Allen key in the Allen cap head bolt through the hole to fit a nut on the end. To locate the nut on the end of the bolt, I'm using a long pair of pliers. Then all I have to do is rotate the bolt underneath. Then once again I tighten the bolt which holds the lathe to the chip tray. I had to shorten this sequence because getting the nut to engage on the end of the M8 bolt seemed to take an extraordinary length of time. Patience is a virtue, and I got there in the end. The chip tray is now firmly bolted to the lathe bed. You can see the Allen key underneath the lathe on the bench. I will of course be moving this out of the way. I slid one of the main pieces of foam, which is 14 inches long, in from the left hand side. Then once again I had to lift the lathe at the heavy end to slide the left hand piece into position. And now it's testing time. The first thing I notice is the lathe runs very quietly, very little in the way of resonance through the worktop and the kitchen unit underneath. As I mentioned earlier, this is exactly the same way that I mounted my Myford ML7R, which is a much bigger lathe than this. And the same thing applied. It was immediately a lot quieter. And when I ran the normal tests that you would do with a lathe when you first install it, everything checked out A1. No distortion of the bed, and all the cuts that I took with it were parallel. The reason that you have to level a lathe normally when it's sat on a bench or a cabinet touching the ground, because if the cabinet isn't perfectly level, it can cause the lathe bed to twist, as the lathe bed is normally securely connected to the cabinet. But when the lathe is sat on foam pads, there are no such stresses. It just works. Once again, please don't write in to tell me that it doesn't, because it does. I am not stupid, and I even have a cycling proficiency test certificate. I'm very pleased with this lathe. I'm also very pleased with the cheap tool post. Although since making this video I have modified the way that the tool post is fastened to the top slide. I machined the end of a standard hexagon M8 bolt, which was a bit longer, so I could also use a washer, and that looks much better. I've had a bit of a change round in the workshop. This is where the lathe is going to be, and here I am sliding it into position. The lathe isn't sliding off the foam pads because the two Allen caphead bolts underneath are now firmly stuck into the foam, holding it in position. The set of drawers is in a perfect position for me to get at taps and dies, centre drills, nuts, bolts, and eventually steam unions and fittings. Although the right hand side of the workshop is a bit of a mess now, I thought I would spin the camera around to show you the state of play. Here's my 5-inch gauge beautiful sterling single. I need to do some work on this as soon as I get through my current workload, which is considerable. At the other end of the bench are various engines, some belong to me and some belong to customers who haven't picked them up. I'm going to tidy the right hand side of the workshop, but I won't bother videoing that. Panning back around, here we are again at the lathe. The sign on the wall was bought for me by my first wife. The beatings will continue till morale improves, but that really applies to me. Believe it or not, doing the jobs and making the videos 7 days a week really does take some doing. This workshop is the second one that I have, and it's a small extension at the side of my kitchen. When I look out of the back door, I can see the kerosene fuel tank for the central heating, and underneath the ivy is the head of Buddha, which was there when I moved in. I don't know where that came from. In this pan shot, you can see the structure of the workshop. It's long and narrow. Quite unlike me, I am definitely not long and narrow, but thankfully I am more flexible than I look. Today my doorbell rang, and when I answered the door, this arrived. It is a 12-piece mini quick change tool post and holder kit, which is identical to the mini quick change tool post and holder kit that I already bought. So what's the logic in this? Well, it's quite simple really. If you want to buy an extra tool holder for one of these, they cost about £13 to £15. When I bought this second set via Amazon, I did notice that the price had gone up by just over £1. No matter though, because apart from it being useful to have the extra tool holders, I also have an extra tool post and the fittings. It's worth mentioning that before I fitted the new bolt to hold the tool post in place, I filled the internal part with grease. In fact, all of the moving parts were given a liberal coating of molybdenum grease. So I don't think it's going to wear quite so rapidly. That's it for now. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.